This is an unbelievable ball. We've been talking about it the whole time here. We talked to Pete earlier about what a great ball it was. Now, Norm, let's resume where we were. 1994, you bowled 280, the highest losing score on television to date. You come back 2 weeks later, and you got Brian Goebel again in the title match, and you took Brian Goebel down that day. And, Bo, you were quoted on that telecast saying, "Norm Duke said to me, you miss in your mind."
That's what you learn a little bit if you're from Texas, number one, because I was from a Texas family. And number two, you have the talent he has that's put up going back into this match play thing. And I think, Norm, you can expand on this. That's where you get that kind of swagger, ego that I know I have it, you have it, he have it.
What you're saying is if Brian Goebel blowed action, he would have struck out in the 10th for $250,000. That's what you're saying. Bo had a way of getting into your head without you saying anything. And he would say to himself, I know what Norm would say. Well, then he'd go live TV and go, I just talked to Norm. And he did telepathically. But it was actually the announcer's embellishment that he would come out with. And I tell you what, it was great. I watch YouTube. I go in there. I use that as a tool, so I get to hear Bo and all of his splendor up there. And I'm telling you, he's as good of an announcer as he ever was a bowler. And we all know what kind of a bowler he is. And it was actually, it's more entertaining for me now than it was then. At times, I'd be a little embarrassed. You know, you got the money, I got the time. Well, now what I got to do the next 5 weeks? I got to go, I ain't got the money. So he got me in a lot of trouble. But now that I'm older and people are scared of me, now I get to enjoy that kind of thing. Thanks, Bo.
Another cute little thing we did with Norm, we'll get on to Peter, because Peter's one of my favorite guys, is we had Norm Duke's stock pick of the week, folks. I used to Norm, tell him a little bit about that. We go back, and Norm Duke was making a bunch of money, and you got to invest your money. You all of us teach our kids that and whatnot. So I had Norm Duke been doing stocks, and he was an expert in penny stocks. Give me a little rapport we had with that, Norm. Every week.
You know, David Ozio back in the day, we would. Back in the day trading days, we didn't day trade, we like minute traded. We'd do it for 10 minutes and then go play golf. Something like that. No, I'm not. I'm much better bowler than I'm stock picker. I always knew when to buy, but I knew nothing about when to sell.
Yeah.
You should have taught me that.
Well, there's know when to hold them, know when to...
Yeah, well, you didn't teach me any of that. Timing was never something you really sat me down on.
Hey, Pete, let me ask you, you've been involved with so much in bowling, and to be honest, I personally believe that you're responsible for the reason that bowling is still going alive and strong, and one of the major reasons. You're one of the most, I guess you would say, iconic individuals in our game. You've been on so many television shows. You've done things on a damn sports show. You've been in different movies and things like that. What's maybe one of your favorite moments that you've had visiting, you know, a celebrity or going and doing something? As I know that you're nominated for an ESPY yet again this year.
Yeah, I just found that out. Tracy told me yesterday that I got nominated for it. You know, Mike, I think my favorite moment was when me and you went to Louisville to do the movie Split with one of our friends, Jamie Buckner, who produced it. And I think being able to have a very small part in the movie at the very end was one of the most exciting things I've ever done. You know, bowling is easy. Bowling's get up and easy, I'm calm, cool, and collected. I was nervous, really nervous, trying to memorize my lines and doing things. And you know, because you're thinking, wow, camera, a movie camera right there. But I think that was one of my most exciting moments. I was thrilled to death to be there.
Yeah, let me tell a story about that. The young lady, Tracy Weiler, I believe is her name. Tracy Weiler was the main leading star, and that movie's still in production right now, and it'll be released when Jamie can get to it. It's a side project for him. But I particularly remember she was so nice to Pete, took him under his wing, and I remember you signing very famous sunglasses and giving those to her.
Oh, absolutely. I had my sunglasses there, the green ones that I actually wear. And, you know, she was kind of excited to meet me too, but I was more excited to meet everybody there. So, and after she had been so nice to me. She kind of said, keep going, you know, underneath her breath to me when I screwed up. But she was so nice, I just said I had to sign the glasses and give them to her right there. And I know she sent me a picture of it, and they're on her mantle, sitting right there, and I know they're not coming down.
But those glasses were the ones that you used on television.
Those are the ones I wore to win my 5th U.S. Open.
Yeah, so pretty special memorabilia to be given away to that young lady. Made quite an impression on her, and that's the type of person Pete is. And that was a fun trip, and I have to let you tell everyone here where it was we stopped on the way home when we decided to grab some food on the way home.
Some food? Well, I'm not allowed to eat it when Tracy's around, so we decided we were going to have White Castle.
White Castle.
Yeah.
So for those of you that know what White Castle is, it was
Belly bombers.
It was a fun couple-hour ride home afterwards.
I need to go right now. Just start.
Sorry, Mike.
Now, guys, let's pick on Bo a little bit here. We've been pretty nice to him for the most part. You know, and I'll start with you, Norm. You know, no matter what happened in a match, no matter what the score was, Bo constantly had to mention this thing about a tie.
Every third frame, we have a possibility of a tie. Of course we do. If you both scored the same amount, we have a tie. That's kind of the rule. But it was like his moniker.
But
he couldn't wait to say it.
What's so amazing about it, though, is people quote that now.
All the time.
It's a landmark in bowling.
Yeah, I think Randy's adopted that too.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, in the little bit of broadcasting I do on the internet, I'm always mentioning ties, and it has a lot to do with you setting the precedent. So what happened there that made you always set up these ties?
Well, I really believe in it, and all of us do. We keep score automatically. If you got strike, spare, spare, 6, you know it automatically. We bowl all the time. We had 7-8 million people at home that didn't really keep score as well as you and I did in the thing. So I felt that the most important thing was to keep the average bowler attuned to the match. It's Mike Flanagan against Pete Weber, and here's the situation. I use that word a lot. Pete's ahead by 6 if Mike gets a strike. Well, that seemed to sink in to the general public. And we didn't like to, if there was a possibility, to go away from a telecast when 7th, 8th frame. And the luxury that Randy Peterson doesn't have that I have is the scoring environment, as you guys know, was much, much lower back in then. I mean, shows averaged 196, 98. It was a competition. You didn't have the big scores like this. Nobody wrote in the newspaper, I could beat Pete Weber because he just won 100,000 shooting a 189 game. I mean, a lot of tournaments you won, the guys were nervous. There's no pull area.
189 was a good game.
Good game. There's no cheat. So it was easier to keep the audience attuned because every match was close. I told Randy, one of the greatest telecasts I watch, and I watch the show off and on, was when you won the U.S. Open. I'm going to say Randy would probably remember, you'd remember, about 3 years ago, where every match went down to 9th and 10th. The high game on TV was 220. You threw a strike, one of the greatest balls I've ever seen in sport of bowling, a strike, and I appreciate it because I know what you went through, how hard it was to get a strike, right, Norm? And remember that time, and the ratings, that show, were the highest of the year. Now, what I used to try to tell Tom Clark, and I'm not in their television, I'm not his business, is when you bring the scoring environment where it's competitive, and that's why I went back to the situation is this, the match is this, the possibility is tie, is to let the people realize this match is not over. Pete can win, Norm can win, stay tuned. And that's the business.
Well, that's a great tip, and I think that it's phenomenal, and I'm glad that you did it because so many of us today will, you know, as a young person bowling, and I hear people out there in the field say it all the time, you know, they're bowling in their center against each other, they're practicing, or they're in a tournament, and they say, we got a possibility of a tie right now. One of my all-time favorites. And my second favorite thing with you, Bo, as well, that I know these guys know about, is ABC television always had the Professional Bowlers Tour on Saturday afternoons. And you referred to bowlers that were really locked in on that day as throwing their Sunday ball. Even though the telecast was on Saturday. What's the story behind that?
Well, the Sunday ball is one that your father would remember, and And for the older people at home, a lot of the younger people won't remember, but the old All-Star, BPA All-Star, is, which your father won 4 times, and theoretically you have won it, although the name has changed 5 times, was won by a guy named Buddy Bomar. He's a great bowler out of Texas. He knew was my dad's close friend. But Buddy was not the Ned Day or the Andy Barapapa. He was a good player. And they bowled 100 games at that time, 100 games. And in the last game, in an environment where 205 average is going to win the tournament, he shot a 279 game, and he struck in the 10th frame. And I'll never forget, sitting home as a little kid, you probably had some of this too, Pete, you were around the great bowlers. He said, Nelly, he had that southern, you could do that Texan, Nelly, I got out in the 10th, I threw my Sunday ball. And that's where it came from. Buddy Bomar, the late Buddy Bomar, that's the deal.
You know you're a great professional when you can basically tell everyone at home that the bowlers are using their Sunday ball on a Saturday telecast. That's a true spoken Hall of Famer. Hey Norm, I gotta ask you, you've thrown a lot.
I've never missed on Sunday. You've never doing the shows. Because you'd replay it in your mind, and you'd always do a better job on Sunday.
That's right.
That's what I thought you meant.
No, it's a Buddy Bomar.
I thought it was like your dream ball.
Buddy Bomar.
Did you ever meet Buddy Bomar?
No, I've heard more about Buddy Bomar than I heard about Dick Weber when I was growing up, because he was notorious for punching the spares off and not shooting the 10 pins.
So that was a pin boy, though.
Yeah, but if you got the 10 pin, he'd punch that thing off, Sass.
No, but that's where the Sunday ball.
Hit him the first time.
Norm, I know that you've thrown a lot of different products over your career. You're kind of like a baseball player that switched a bunch of different teams over their Hall of Fame career. Sometimes you'll see a professional athlete stays with the same team. Sometimes they move around a little bit. You came to Storm how many years ago?
About 7 years ago.
About 7 years ago, and you've stuck here. Right. And I don't know if you've ever had that length of time with the company, but why is it that you've continued to throw Storm and Roto Grip over the years? And what is it about this company that keeps you here?
Well, I've known Bill and Barbara for a long time, a lot longer than this 7 years. And we've talked about staff contracts many, many times. And Bill and I have had a couple of conversations where we both agreed now's just not the right time. Either I was busy with some of the endeavors that I had. Maybe Storm had just signed a couple of new players. But we both agreed that it wasn't the right time. And then one day, about 10 years ago, I went to him and I said, you know what, this is the perfect time right now. And for a couple of years, they were unable to do it. Just too many. They were growing so fast. It was hard to make room for me. And I just told Bill, I said, Bill, I've chosen you. And I'm going to throw Storm, and it's going to happen with or without a staff contract. And then Dave Sims called me 2 years later. He said, Norm, you're winning everything. I'm embarrassed. I got to sign you. And so that's really where it came. As I went on and displayed that I was very capable of winning with the best products on the land. And I think that everybody knew that it was going to be an eventuality. But the timing was right then. And I couldn't be more happy for waiting, and I couldn't be more happy for Dave making that call that day either. They're my family. Storm is absolutely my family.
Through the ups and the downs. And I know that you've had great years on tour. You've had some years where you feel a little down and out. Not as many fans coming out. The Professional Bowlers Tour has had its ups and downs. And through it all, you've persevered.
I've absolutely not had a bad year with Storm. Absolutely not. Each year that I finished and I've been on staff with Storm, I've said, great job. Great job. Now, I can't say that with any of the other companies I was with. So that's a testament to the type of bowling equipment that they provide for us.
I'll tell you a story that I'm absolutely getting away from our program a little bit. I'm going to tell you Pete Weber's story, and I want all you people out there to hear it. I did a lot of charities in my life, and about 20-some years ago when Pete was really struggling, and he's financially well-to-do today, but 20 years ago I brought him to a children's hospital benefit in Saginaw, Michigan. And I took him to the hospital, and he saw these young kids, okay? I was paying Pete $1,000 that day to be there, and he needed that $1,000. He got up and donated that $1,000 to those kids. Remember that, Pete?
Yes, I did.
And I said, Pete, you can't do that. Pete says, I won't come back if I don't do it. Pete Weber, thank you, and I remember that. That is the real you.
Thank you both. Thank you. A lot of people don't know stuff about me like that. But I do
But we knew you were
contribute to
dead
the
broke.
charities
You still
very
do.
often.
That a boy.
Yes,
That
sir.
a boy, Peter. I'm sorry about that, folks.
Oh, that's all right.
I got
Just a little
a
bit of me.
story right quick. Y'all want to hear mine? I guarantee you're not going to cry. You remember the time he holds the trophy up and it jumps right off there and lands on it? The night before, I was bowling for that telecast against him. Winner is going to bowl on television, the loser's gone. So I go into the press room before the last game, and here are these two trophies. One is the U.S. Open Victor Trophy, and one of them is the leading qualifier, which I had gotten already. So I pick up my little trophy, and I'm thinking, yeah, you're nice, but I want you. And I pick this big trophy up, and it comes apart in my hands. So the eventual trophy, the next day, I'm holding in two parts. It's double-sided tape. I thought I broke it, so I put it back, and so now I lost. I'm in the hotel room talking to my mom while he's throwing shots to win. And I said to my mom, he's about to drop that trophy, Mom, and sure enough, here it goes, crack. So my mom thought I was telepathic. She's like, how did you know? I said, oh yeah, it's double-sided tape right there.
Hey, I'll add to that story, Mike. I got accused because I set up a trophy shot with ABC television of screwing the trophy up.
That's what I heard,
the
too.
proprietor came to me, that Burton guy from ABC, he screwed the whole thing up. It isn't Pete's fault. He took it apart, and that's the reason it fell. So it ended up on me.
No, they had just not screwed it down.
You know,
yet. It was
And out of all that, after it dropped on the approach, I was the one that thought I was in trouble. You guys were off scot-free. I was in trouble.
Good memories. Good memories.
Well, hey guys, those are great memories, and I want to thank both of you for coming in. This is going to end this part of this segment, but Pete, I can't tell you enough. Our friendship and you being with Storm and all the success that you've had, and all the great autographs you signed here, and all the great people here that respect you so much, and all the great things you've done. It's just an absolute honor to be able to sit here with you, and thanks for joining us on our set.
Trust me, it's an honor to be here with Norm and Bo, and Mike, even yourself, because your broadcasting abilities are starting to get really good
Oh,
too.
thanks, buddy.
I reiterate, as you guys leave, two of the 5 greatest bowlers of all times, and I believe because I've been around it so long, and I've seen all the old timers, and I'm very qualified to say it, 2 of the top 5 of all times. It's hard to pick a number 1, but you pick 2 of the top 5. Boys, you both earned it.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.
Keep it going on the senior tour, guys. Let's take it down to Mike Fagan, who's got a very special presentation for us. Mike.